Welcome to another edition of Sitting with an Athletics Director, State of the Programs. I'm Thrift and we're live from Northside High School, and I'm with the Athletics Director here of the Northside Patriots, Morgan Ingram. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, we like starting these things, getting to the background of what got you into this position in the first place. So you coached football for over 20 years. What was that like coaching, especially here at Northside, and then transitioning into being the AD? What has that been like, and do you miss coaching?
Well, that transition kind of coincided for a while. When I first came to Northside back in 2008, I was on the football staff. I was not head coach at the time, but I was athletic director. That was a challenge to try to coach football at any capacity and be the athletic director. Then I took over the head football coaching reins as well, on top of the athletic director's duty, and that was really, really difficult. I would say that it is really difficult to do both of those jobs well at the same time. So I guess about 5-6 years ago, I guess now, I stepped away from football, only doing athletic director duties. I feel like I'm a better athletic director because I can focus on all sports and I can focus all year round on it. I do miss Friday nights. The time, I don't miss it as much, but there's a lot of times I wish, I was back out there, and I do have that itch every once in a while. But the athletic director duties on top of the other duties I have at school, it keep me pretty busy.
Yeah, definitely does keep you busy, Coach. When did you know you were going to be an athletic director position? 'Cause you're saying that was the first thing, was be an athletic director here at Northside. What made you want to get an admin role? Because I feel like being head of a football program is one thing. You're head of all the programs. So what led you into that career path?
I think it was kind of a natural thing. I've been at 3 different high schools here in town, and my first role before I became athletic, I was actually the head coach at Hardaway for 2 years, head football coach. So that progression did happen. I was football coach, head football coach before athletic director. So what led me there was just, I guess, my personality, my desire to want to do more, I guess. And it's just been a natural progression over the years. And I've been here now going on 17 years as the athletic director. So I'm still learning. I'm still evolving in that position. So there's a lot of things that go into that that a lot of people don't see from the sidelines. You have to do it in a certain way. You have to mentor, and you have to prepare your sports. You have to trust your coaches. So then you have to make sure you're hiring great coaches. So there's a lot that goes into it.
All right, and you made that transition into being just solely athletic director. Do you feel like that helps you in a leadership role and be able to focus on all sports and give them the love that you desire, especially during the fall season when you got volleyball, softball, a lot of other things, cross country, a lot of things that are happening, and now flag football that it probably didn't, it was hard to be able to focus on them and managing the football program. So was it an easy transition for you to step down, or was it still difficult to give up your baby?
Well, the difficult part was to step away from football. My entire life has been football. So that was difficult to step away from that, but I felt like I had to do that to be a better athletic director. Like you said, there were 5 sports going on at the same time. I'm the head football coach. Of course, those sports didn't get my full attention. There's no way. So I feel like now those sports do get my full attention. We have very good sports all around, but in that particular season, you got our softball team who's playing for a state championship year in and year out. You got a volleyball team making a playoff run every year. Our cross country teams do well at state every year. So we've gotten more competitive in cheerleading. We kind of had a lull in cheerleading, but that's picked back up. So so there's a lot more going on and a lot more that I can focus on. Not having both roles.
But you still miss it. You still love football field. You're there every Friday night cheering on your Patriots.
Every one of them,
They're not going to miss it. But, Coach, we like talking about the personal aspect. Your wife, Casey, who is also an athletic director, that's really unique. It's like the first power couple here in Muskogee County Athletics. I talk about what that means to have someone like her who not just in charge of Aaron Cone, but she also runs Friday night operations, whether it be at Kinnett or whatever stadium she's going to be at. Talk about having your spouse who's also in that role so she understands how hard it is and how much time consuming it can be.
It's funny. I have coaches come in often, and say, the family this. we have this conflict, and I just kind of shake my head because literally every second we've been teachers, we both have been in athletic director, coaching roles.
Right.
And so, our two girls grew up, that's all they knew.
Sports,
Yeah.
right.
So that juggle, that coordination between, with kids and with coaching and with teaching, all that together is just,
It's difficult, isn't it?
It is difficult, but it was just everyday life for us.
Right.
She does a tremendous job in her daily job at Aaron Cone.
Yep.
But since she's taken over Connect, it's really elevated that venue.
Right.
And Jeff Battles gives her a lot of leeway and a lot of responsibility. He
Yep.
trusts her, so it's a lot. But
Yeah.
but we manage it. Our girls are both grown; they're adults now, so it is a little easier now that it's just the two of us at home.
Right.
The time's not as big a crunch, but I feel like the evolution in both of our careers has led us to where we are now, and we can be better at our jobs.
Yeah, and y'all both do a fantastic job, Coach. And by the way, talking about Connect, you will not do anything in Connect Stadium on a Friday night if Casey Ingram says no. So make sure, media members out there, whoever it may be, if you're going to try to get into it, you better have your credentials and you better go through her, which is how it should be.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't just allow anyone off the street. It should go through procedures, and she makes sure you do all of that, and then she sets you up good. Once she knows that you're doing this the right way, she's going to make sure you get in the right position to do what you need to do for your media. So I've always appreciated her. One of the things, Coach, that I like talking about is getting behind the scenes of what it means to be a coach or athletic director. And you, the principal, and you said, I think the secretary, are up here almost every day during the summer, and it's kind of mandatory. So what are your day-to-day operations? Now, I know we talked off air, yours may be a little bit different than others, but what are some of the things you have to do throughout the summer? Because it seems like you're always up here doing something.
Well, during the summer, we have multiple sports, conditioning and practicing and doing things. So just managing that, eligibility, managing incoming, whether it be freshmen or transfer students, managing that. Managing the summer when you don't have everybody here, just making sure things are taken care of.
Right.
So like you said, my responsibilities outside of sports take up a lot of time, but also the athletic director duties. I have to be here quite often just because, there's times where teams need to travel over the summer.
Right.
There's times when, you got kids coming in, you've got to make sure that the eligibility is going to work out.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees outside of the school. So that's the biggest thing during the summer is just keeping things moving and rolling when you have less people involved.
Right.
Now, Coach Orpez is here probably as much as I am with football.
Right.
Coach Roper with volleyball, she's here all the time. Coach Woods and Coach Johnson with their summer programs, they're here a lot. So Coach Kara Story up at softball, they're here quite often. So I'm not the only one on campus, but they have their individual things that they're doing, but it is a lot of background things that have to go on even when sports aren't participating.
Right. And you were mentioning all the different coaches. We'll talk about managing roles and how you want everyone to have the same vision and stuff, but I feel like the most crucial relationship within a school is the AD and the principal.
Absolutely.
Because their vision's got to align. And it's not just academics, they both got to be on the same page, because if there's any miscommunication, any type of toxic atmosphere, you've seen it happen at places before, it can lead to a lot of turmoil.
Right.
So talk about the transition with the new principal, because the previous principal moved on to a bigger job.
Right.
So you got a new principal. Talk about that relationship with the new principal and who left.
Well, I've been here 16, going on 17 years, and this will be my third principal.
Okay.
And luckily for me, and I tell people this all the time, I'm very lucky that all of my principals that I've had were former coaches.
Okay.
They understand what it takes for me to do my job.
Right.
They trust me to do my job. They don't try to stand in my way. They don't second guess me. I had James Wilson years ago. He was a state championship winning basketball coach at Eufaula, and so I worked with him for several years. And
Dean Wilson, baby.
And I had total control, total trust from him. And then Marty Richburg came over, collegiate baseball player, same thing, state championship winning coach in softball. So same thing, he totally trusted me. I had total control. you know, and now with Mr. Richburg stepping up to be the region chief,
okay.
Coach Laney, Nathan Laney, will be our new principal. So former football coach here at Northside. So yeah, same thing. I mean, Coach Laney's been here the whole time I've been here, longer than I've been here. So you know, having him as principal, I feel like it's going to be a smooth transition. You know, we've had lots of conversations just this summer, and
right.
you know, dealing with things and talking about things. So it's not going to be any different. He's going to totally trust what I say and what I think. In my opinion, of course he'll have his own opinions,
right.
And we'll do those things, but he trusts me, and that's what it takes to do my job well, is to have the respect and the trust of that principal.
Yeah, exactly. Trust.
I can't imagine doing this job without that.
Yeah, trust is a huge thing, Coach. And if you feel like someone's looking over your shoulder, micromanaging, you can't do your job
I wouldn't
correct.
do my
No,
job.
I know you wouldn't. There's no way.
Yeah.
So having that good working relationship, I'm excited about Mr. Laney and what he's been able to do here at Northside. And then you go from Mr. Laney, y'all having a great relationship. You got to have a good relationship with all your coaches. Now, we're going to get into all the programs. Trust me, all you Northside alum and fans out there that are watching this right now. We're going to get to them. We're going to talk about them. But when you are during the summertime, do you try to have meetings with individual coaches? Do you try to do like a entire team meeting, or is that closer to the start of the school year? When did those meetings and that process start happening to make sure we're all on the same page for 24-25?
When it comes to school-wide events and school-wide policy, procedure, or whatever you might have, that usually happens pre-planning, early August.
Right.
Now, I'm constantly 365 having conversations with all of my coaches. My leadership style is more, direct, one-on-one. I don't have very many full staff meetings. If I need to talk to Coach Oropeza about something, I'm gonna go talk to him.
Right.
Coach Carristor, Coach Roper, whoever it might be, I'm gonna go directly to them. So
Right.
a lot of those meetings happen just informally all year round. Now, in terms of what you're saying about just staff meetings and big, broad pictures.
Right.
We'll do that in pre-planning.
Right.
There's a couple of trainings we need to do. Coaches have to be CPR certified, so you got to make sure all those things are in line as well. So we do all that pre-planning.
Upgrades to facilities. It's happening a lot around Muskogee County.
Right.
Anything particular happening around this campus that you want to update the Northside alum and Northside fans that are happening this summer?
We've had a lot of updates years past.
Right.
This year we don't have as many. With the finishing the softball field a couple of years ago, the wrestling room a couple of years ago, the weight room. We've had a lot of upgrades. Our football field with a track.
Yeah.
A lot of older alumni from Northside remember years and years and years we didn't have a track. It was just dirt. It was just gravel. So that only happened a few years back. So there's been a lot of upgrades over the years, but this year there's no major upgrades.
Okay. And last question, Coach, before we're going to take a break and we'll get into the sports. Who were some of your mentors? And I wish I would have asked this for all the other guys, but it happens. Sometimes conversations lead to in a different direction with different people. Right. Who are some of your mentors that really helped you become the leader you are for Northside Athletics?
Well, I was very, very lucky. 1998 was my first teaching job at Columbus High School.
Okay.
Columbus High at the time was transitioning from, full public school to the magnet program that it is today.
Right.
And so back in those days, I worked beside Bobby Howard. I worked beside the athletic director at the time was Jim Womble. Mm-hmm. He was a big mentor of mine. Murphy Jenkins, Brandon's dad.
Yeah, Murphy.
So I've had a lot of John Drew, former head coach at Hardaway. Yep. He worked there. So I had a lot of I say older, they were much older than me at the time, older gentlemen and ladies. I mean, there was Judy Witt. There's been a lot of people over the years that mentored me in a lot of different ways, not just athletics, but leadership and just, communication to, dealing with parents to, just numerous things that, and then you go to my Hardaway days, you have Matt Bell over there. Kendall Mills was a good friend of mine. He still is a good friend of mine, but we worked together over there. Tracy Powell was the athletic director when I was at Hardaway. Oddly enough, now that's kind of reversed.
Flipped, right.
But yeah, I've had a lot of great people around me to help me to where I am and to build off of and to learn how to do things and maybe some not how to do things, but that's how you learn.
Right. and take little nuggets from each one of them. I said that was a final question, but I got to ask about Jeff Battles and that relationship, because I think every one of the ADs like how his open door policy, and y'all just have a great relationship and be able to allow you to do what you need to do, the citywide athletic director.
Right. Not that this is necessary in our roles, but me and Jeff are really good friends.
Yeah.
So that does help. If the athletic director for the county was not a good friend of mine, I still think we would have a really good relationship. But I do think it helps me and Jeff and Casey, my wife. We're all good friends. And the Battles and the Ingrams are good friends with each other. So that does help. So we're able to discuss things in maybe a little more informal way at times where I may bounce ideas off him. He calls me all the time with ideas and thoughts. And, he does the same thing with my wife and with Coach Mills and several ADs around town. He'll call and just say, before I decide to do this, what do you think? Or, those kind of things. So I think that in itself says a lot about his leadership style, is that he wants to do what's best for athletics in this county. There are a lot of obstacles. I mean, that could be a whole nother.
It's like a whole show right there.
Whole show about the obstacles, not just in this county, but just in athletics in general.
Right.
But I think he manages it extremely well. I've been here since that position started back in whatever year it was, 04 maybe.
Yep.
Coach Flowers took that position, and I've been here with every athletic director. So I've seen the evolution of that position, and I think Jeff does a tremendous job.
He does do a great job. And now with the NIL, which I don't think is a big deal in this area yet, but eventually in years become, that's another obstacle, which thankfully we don't have to talk about it right now, but you see what's happening in college landscape. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the high school landscape. The Sharks will be swimming. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about all the sports programs that are happening right here at Northside High School. It's Sitting with an Athletics Director, State of the Program, with Morgan Ingram from the Northside Patriots. We'll be right back after this.
Check out these great offers at Glenn Smith and Opelika.
At Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA, the GMC Sierra pickup. Right now, discounted up to $15,500 off. The roomy and comfortable compact SUV, the GMC Terrain, is up to $7,750 off.
Choose from over 400 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way to Glenn Smith and Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Welcome to Sitting with an Athletics Director, State of the Programs. I'm Thrift Behringer. Welcome back. We are presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC, and I am with Athletic Director of the Northside Patriots, Morgan Ingram, just sitting there having a great conversation. And now we're going to get into the sports. So I'm going to pull out my phone because I am not going to forget one sport at all, because I know that will make people upset. And we're going to start in the fall. And we're going to start with a sport that I really think sets the tone. We talk about this all the time, which is football. Now, 2 years ago, you were region champs, 10-1 or 11-1. You won a playoff game. Coach Orpeza had a phenomenal season. Had guys go to Division I level, playing at Penn, who Malachi Hosley's doing great things. I see him playing on Sundays in the near future. Last year, had some growing pains, still had a great record, made the playoffs. Talk about what Coach Orpeza has meant to this school and allowing him to take over that program. And now I think he's got he's got a veteran quarterback, and he's got a lot of experience coming back. He's one of the favorites this year. So talk about Coach Orpeza. What does he mean?
Well, Coach O, he's been with us, I guess, 4 years now, maybe 5. I don't remember exactly the year he came, but he's just done a tremendous job. I like his approach. I think that's the biggest thing, is his approach. He's a hard-nosed guy, which is not as common nowadays as it was when I first started.
Right.
A lot of guys are changing the schemes and the way things are done, but he is a hard-nosed guy. He wants to be a physical football team, and that's kind of getting more and more rare to have a real physical football team. So I think that helps him a whole bunch. I think having the leadership, like you said, with Caden Clay, with I was going to say Jonathan Rivers, with Kingston Rivers, and several of his upcoming seniors that are tremendous players and been here for 4 years, or going on 4 years now. So Coach O he just brings that enthusiasm, that discipline, and I think those are the things that the kids feed off of.
Right.
He runs our weight program down there, and the kids they get in there and bust their butt for him, and that's because he sets the tone that way, and that's not easy to do. That's not easy to do, set the tone and get kids bought into that type of program, but he has done that, and he's reaped the rewards from that over the years. Had a great year 2 years ago, like you said. Changing regions this year, it's going to be a challenge, but it's one that they're prepared to meet, and it's one that they're looking forward to. We all are.
And I'm glad you brought that up, and we'll talk about two things right there. We'll start with the region.
Right.
What does that mean, moving down a classification, going to 4A? We talked about this off air. It's not a big a deal as many people are making out to be, but the region's a lot tougher than it was last year. So what is that? Is that going to be a huge obstacle for Northside, or are y'all ready to take on the challenge with this new region?
Well, over the past, several years, we've been in a different classification than the rest of the schools in Columbus.
Yep.
And so we're used to that. We're used to playing at a higher, I don't say a higher level, but a higher classification.
Right.
So that part's not anything new. What is different, a lot of your viewers are not going to realize or understand, is the entire state changed classification. Mm-hmm. So in years past, we've been from single A to 7A. They took away 7A completely. So the highest classification this coming up year will be 6A. Mm-hmm. So what that does is mashes everybody in. And the purpose of that was to try to it was really about travel. So a lot of that had to deal with geographics, trying to get people, regions more geographically aligned. We're kind of cut down on some of the travel in smaller regions. So that really didn't benefit us from that standpoint, because we're still going to be traveling quite a bit since we're the only school in Columbus in 4A now.
Yep.
So when you say dropping classification, we did go from 5 to 4, but really everybody adjusted because of losing a whole classification, losing 7A. So we don't look at it as we moved down. We're pretty much in the same spot we were, from a holistic standpoint. So us in Harris County still in the same region, which is huge for us.
Yeah, that's your rival.
That's our rival.
Yep.
That's who we do a lot of battles with, and so that's always exciting. So just going through the teams real quick.
Go ahead.
Talking geographically, it doesn't really help us geographically, because you got us in Harris County down south. You got central of Carroll County, which is kind of West Georgia, and then over towards central Georgia, you got Jonesboro, you got Mundy's Mill, you got Griffin, and Starr's Mill. So we are a little bit spread out still, and we still have significant travel for us.
Right.
Everybody's an hour and a half away except for Harris County, so that is going to be a challenge, and that's a challenge we've faced for years now. So it's not going to be anything really new for us. So we love the idea of playing those schools and having to compete at a higher level. We feel like that sets us apart here in town. Is that we have to play some of these other schools, and a lot of schools here in town play tougher competition, non-region, and try to, but we have to do it when it counts. We have to do it in the region, so it is a big deal. We even in our non-region games, particularly football, we try to play better competition. We try not to.
We're playing Carver this year.
Yeah.
You got a tough region, and then you're going to go play Carver, who's probably the state favorite, one of the state favorites in 2A.
Playing Carver, playing Northgate, playing some tougher teams that. Shaw's going to be improved. We're playing Shaw, so we're not going to try to shy away from playing tougher teams. So we're excited. We don't mind the travel. It's not our preference, but we don't mind the travel because it does allow us to play those teams. So it's part of the gig. We understand that, and we're going to do everything we can to be successful. Last
question about football: how important is it to have a veteran leader at the quarterback position? How crucial is that? Because you've been a coach for a long time. I feel like you felt more comfortable going into a season knowing you got someone that started the last 3 years, kind of like with Caden Clay.
No doubt. I've been fortunate over the 20 years I coached. I had some really good quarterbacks. A couple that played in the NFL. I had some guys that played collegiate baseball, and so they were great athletes. So I've been really lucky over the years to have some really good quarterbacks. And the experience just sets a quarterback apart. You can have a great athlete, a great quarterback as a young kid, but he's going to make a lot of mistakes. I don't care how good he is and how athletic he is. As they mature, the hope is that they see the game better. The game slows down for them. Things, they see things happen before they really happen. So I hope for Caden, and I know Caden works his butt off now, and I think everything's going to just come together for him because he's such a great kid. He's super duper kid. And
right. Well-spoken, great hard worker.
Good student, great leader on the team,
right.
But I expect him to have a great year just because of those aspects of the game slowing down, seeing things,
right.
and having that confidence. I've been here for 4 years,
right.
So you want that guy to walk out there with some swagger. You want that guy to walk out there with confidence.
No
you want
doubt.
that guy to say, I'm the best person on this field.
Yeah, and that's what you're getting with him. I'm 100%. Some people call that being braggadocious. I call that being confident, and I call that being someone that's going to be successful
There's a
in
fine
all
line
sports.
there.
There is a fine
between
line.
cocky and arrogant versus confident.
Right.
So you got to do it with some modesty, with a little bit of reserve, but you still want to. I want that guy to feel like he's the best one on the field.
Right. Moving on, staying in the fall, cross country. Who leads that program? How excited are you about this upcoming year for cross country?
Maddie Fisher is our head cross country coach. She took it over last year when Teresa Dean decided not to coach cross country anymore. So Coach Fisher was a college runner as well. So
nice.
that program is going to get better and better. She has Meredith Shepard, who is our head track coach, helping her. So the two of them do a great job. Our kids are getting better and better. We do have some kids coming back there as well, so we're excited about that program as well.
Morgan, I'm telling you right now, I don't envy them because that's running in the hottest part of the year here in Georgia for long distance. So I think those athletes are incredible.
Right.
But we talk about getting that itch, and you can't keep my man off the sidelines. Flag football, Coach. You are taking over that program. Talk about why you wanted to do that, what led you to go do that, and for people out there that don't know, if you've never watched a flag football game, it is exhilarating, it's fun, it's passionate. Talk about why did you want to take over the flag football program? What are you looking forward to this year?
Well, I've been very instrumental in the development of flag football in Muskogee County.
You have.
So I was on the front step, when it first came on board, and I understand the game. I played the game in the past. I played it at a high level and all that stuff. So I feel with Coach Dean, with Chad Dean, taking over the football program down at Veterans Memorial, we had that opening, and he and I had a lot of conversations, and I decided that I would take the program over. Mainly, part of it was, I guess a small part of it was because we had nobody else. But the other side, like you said, I did get a little bit of itch. It's fun. It's fun to do, and it's totally different. People hear the word football. It's not anything like men's football.
Right.
Well, I say men's football, like padded football, however you want to word that. So it's a completely different game, and so there's a lot of aspects of it that you can't just throw somebody out there, they won't understand it. So that standpoint, I felt like I was the best person in the school to run the program.
Right.
Plus, I think it'll be fun. It's not a long season.
No.
It's not a season where it's a big grind. It's not in the hottest part of the year. All the things that padded football gives you.
Right.
So there's some differences, and I like the challenge, the excitement of it.
Yeah, and talk about a lot of the girls, they play probably other sports too.
Most of them play.
Having those athletes, are there any girls you want to make mention about, or you haven't had tryouts this year? Do you have to have tryouts? Like, how do you bring back the same team? Like, how does that go with flag football?
Well, we will have tryouts, but a lot of the girls will be coming back. A lot of I don't really want to name names.
You got to name everybody.
Not coaching the team last year, I'll forget somebody.
Right.
But we have a lot of softball players, a lot of volleyball players, track team members, cheerleaders.
Right.
I mean, all these girls want to participate in flag. Flag's just one of those weird sports that they try to fit it in between all the other sports, and it's very difficult. So you kind of have to adjust the schedule slightly based on your numbers and girls finishing. Our softball team's going to play till November, hopefully.
Yeah.
Our volleyball team's going to play, late into the season. So you may be losing a lot of those girls at the beginning of flag because they're being successful in other sports. So all that's just kind of a thing you got to weigh, and you got to compromise a little bit and figure all that out. But I'm excited about the challenge.
I can't wait to see you on the sideline because we'll be live streaming some flag football this year for sure. Volleyball, who leads that program? And you've been high on volleyball for a long time, Morgan.
Oh yeah. We've been excellent in volleyball for years and years. Cassia Roper is our head volleyball coach. She's been here, I don't know how many years Cassia's been our head coach. She was an assistant before that, but she does a tremendous job. I mean, they've been going all summer. I know they got a big tournament in Gulf Shores coming up in a couple of weeks. So she's really excited about our team. She's got a couple of new assistant coaches. So our staff is getting a little more solid. So we're really excited about volleyball.
cheerleading, there's two aspects. There's the competition cheerleading, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and then there's a cheerleading that I think sets the vibe and the atmosphere for Friday nights, basketball, whatever it may be. They're an integral part of other sports and getting people involved. So who leads the cheerleading program? You talked about you had a little bit of a lull, but you feel like now they're in a good position. Who leads that program?
Kristen McPhail is our head cheerleading coach, and Kelly Gentry helps her with that program. And like you said, we have the competition portion, we have the football portion, and then last year we started a basketball portion.
Nice.
Now, Kristen and Kelly run the competition and the football side of things, so I'll talk about that. We went a couple of years where we got away from the competition, and it was mainly because of supply. I mean, we didn't have those type cheerleaders. We didn't have those. So that has restarted, and we've gotten that program going. We had a successful year last year. We're looking at really good things from them this year from a competition standpoint.
Nice.
One of my biggest things, and probably early on, one of my biggest challenges as an AD was to have that program coexist with football.
Right.
Because they put so much time in competition that the football kind of takes a backseat a little bit.
Right.
And so Coach Mack, that's what we call Kristen, Coach Mack, she does a tremendous job. She knows from an administrative standpoint how important the on the sideline is and the competition. So she does a really good job of balancing the two, and having Coach Gentry there with her really helps her be able to manage that and to have that. So that was a big challenge early on in my AD career was to have both, you know, because we've been really successful in competition even before I came to Northside. They were really successful, and that just continued on. But there was a little lull in the football, so then we had to figure out how to balance it, but I think we're in a good spot right now.
I think so too,
I
Coach.
love watching our cheerleaders on Friday night.
Oh,
They're really good.
It does, and it brings a great vibe. It gets everyone involved, gets everyone ready and passionate.
Everybody knows what our student section looks like at football games.
Yeah.
So you got to have that group in the front to lead them.
100%. And now everyone's like, hold up, there's a fall sport you're missing. No, I'm not missing. I just saved the best for last because they are the premier program in this area. If you go back to 2016, they have been either state runner-up or state champions pretty much every single year or making a deep playoff run. Right. We know Brandon Jenkins, he was awesome here, but now leading the program is Sydney Carastori, who played at Division I level, has a high acumen in terms of softball. So why was she your first choice? And I feel like a no-brainer in taking over this program that has been the premier softball program in the area.
Well, you're right. We've been the premier, I would say, premier program of
probably in the state.
In all sports
yeah.
in this area for the past 10 years,
yeah.
I would venture to say. But, you know, Brandon Jenkins headed that program up for the last 10 years and did a tremendous job. And during that time, he built a tremendous support staff. His assistant coaches were just second to none.
Yeah.
And so we knew when we had the opening that it would come from that group.
Yeah.
And you know, in discussions and decisions, you know, Sydney she was the right choice. Yeah. And everybody, I think everybody to a person agrees with that. And she's had challenges already, but she's hit them head on. You know, we told her when the first time I called her about this, mm-hmm. you know, for the very first conversation we had, I said to her, you're going to have tremendous people to lean on in this school where you don't have to feel like you are all by yourself.
Right.
I said, not only your other assistant coaches, I mean, you got Shara Riles that's with her, and Shara was our head softball coach when I first got here.
Yeah.
She played for a state championship. She had multiple region championships. So you got Shara, who's a softball person, on your staff. So that's your first person to lean on. Then you got myself, who's been coaching forever. You got Coach Laney. At the time we had Mr. Richburg. We have, you know, just people all around that can help. And she has done it. And to her, give her some props. She's done a great job of reaching out and asking for that assistance and that advice and that, you know, we've had, like I said, some situations already that she's had to deal with. So I'm very excited about her. I think our program will continue. I think it'll be a seamless transition. I think she brings aspects from her experience and her mindset that even, you know, different than Brandon, you know, so it's just two different views and two different maybe ways of doing things at the time that I think, you know, you can benefit from both. So we got just about our entire team coming back from a back-to-back state championship. So They do have that pressure, that target on their back, so to speak, but I think the way our program's been built is they know how to live with that because they've had that since the day they walked on campus.
Yeah.
So, you know, after winning 3 state championships in that time period, 2 back-to-back the last 2 years, they know what it takes. They know what they have to do, and they're just going to work and continuing to do the things they've done the last 2 years to win it.
Yeah.
You know, and so we got premier players on our team. Abby Lovell is our
All-State.
our ace pitcher.
Yeah.
Committed to Troy. I got to put a prop in a Troy guy. So,
Yeah.
Gonna play at Troy, so I'm really excited about that. That's my hometown, and that's where I went to school. So,
Nice, man.
I'm excited about that, but that's just a side note. But you know, you got all the other seniors: L'Oreal Bird, Harper Bray. You got Gracie Conkle. You got I know I'm gonna leave off some names, so I'm not gonna try to name everybody. But you got this core group that have been there and done that. So we're really excited about the season.
And I mean, be honest, Coach. You got to be a different person to take over that job, as you mentioned, the pressure, because you're taking over a job that has won a lot of games, and you're trying to replace someone that's done a great job at winning. And obviously, she's hit this head on, and she is not afraid of the challenge, and you can tell that she is very confident in herself, and she's been around the program. Probably a little bit different if you went outside the program, bringing someone in, and they got to change the culture. I feel like that doesn't have to be a problem because she's been a part of the culture these last couple of years. So I think it's awesome.
I think I'm saying this right, and I apologize, Sydney, if I don't say this exactly right, but she's been with us, I think, 4 years. But before that, her first coaching job was at Grayson.
Yep.
So over the past 5 years, every year she's played at South Commons. So she's known nothing but success.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. She hadn't been the head coach those years, but she's been on that staff, and she's seen how it's done. She's seen what it takes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we were talking about Caden earlier with the quarterback. I want her to be the most confident person on the field. You know, every time she walks out there, I want her to feel like she is the top dog. She is, out there for this reason.
Right.
There's a lot of positives in what we're getting and what we have in our softball program. So the bottom line is I expect a seamless transition. I expect things to continue. I expect, the discipline's still there, the hard work's still there. I'll put a prop out. Sydney's brother, he runs a performance studio out in Midland. So our girls have been working with him all off season, all summer long, with his performance program out there and workouts and stuff. So all that stuff goes into it.
Can't wait, Coach. And, Brandon, he's at Harris County, so you'll be seeing Harris County and Northside going at each other. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun this upcoming year. Right. But Sydney, even Brandon will say it, he had a stamp of approval. Everyone else says home run hire for Coach Carastori. Moving on from fall, let's go ahead into the winter sports. We got swim and we got wrestling. Who leads both of those programs, Coach?
Okay. Well, in swim, we're in a little bit of transition from a coaching standpoint on swim. Kelly Gentry, I was talking about her earlier. Cheerleading. She's been running our swim program for the past couple of years, so we are going to be in transition there. So we're going to have a new swim coach when the time comes.
Right.
Wrestling is Chastity Tillman. Chastity was an assistant under Matt Redmond a couple of years ago. She kind of ran our female portion of our program because, as you well know, wrestling has developed into a male and female sport.
Yeah.
And so she ran our female. And then last year, pretty much out of necessity, she became our head wrestling coach.
Wow.
And did a tremendous job. We had a state champion female wrestler, Ayanna Fletcher. We had multiple, state placers in the boys division. So we're excited about her. She's going to continue to be the head wrestling coach. And I know you're going to ask about basketball, so I'll just go ahead and
go ahead.
I'll go ahead and jump on basketball. Coach Greg Johnson and Coach Jarquella Woods are our boys and girls coach. Both of them do a tremendous job.
Both have won a lot of games and won regions and been in the top of the region for quite some time.
And just like all sports, there's up and downs there. And our boys team, they had a lot of growing pains last year.
Young, had to replace a lot of talent.
Yes. Yeah, I think we had maybe one starter back last year that had played before. But so they had a good off season during the summer, working out and playing games and practicing and stuff. So I expect big things. It's going to be a tougher competition. You got Jonesboro, you got Mundy's Mill, you got Stars, you got Harris County, you got all these teams that are very competitive, and it's going to be a tough region. So, but I feel like we'll be more competitive. Girls the same way. Coach Woods is, to me, just top notch.
Yeah.
She was a player at Hardaway when I was there. Her Kelly Ellison. They were both players when I was at Hardaway, so I've known them for years. And they're, and to see them in charge of those two programs is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see them.
And they have battles, man.
And they do. And it's an up and down. Like I said with girls, it's up and down. So we expect good things out of them as well.
Rifle. A lot of schools have this. Harris County does. So I know that's y'all's rival, but talk about who's leading the rifle program, because y'all seen state championship trophies over there for the rifle program that's been top notch.
We have 4 state championships in rifle since school started back in '02. So we've got 4 state championships, and that's the most of any program we have here at school. Softball has 3. Our baseball team has 1. So, our rifle team has always been successful, always been. And a lot more schools have rifle than you know. Most of the schools in Columbus have it.
Okay.
So it's a kind of under-recognized sport because of the nature of it. There's no spectators. There's no, fanfare with it or anything like that. So it's a lot of fun to watch if you ever get a chance, but especially at the high levels.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. So, Major Campbell runs our rifle program, and so we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah, and that's in the winter. Moving from winter, let's go into the spring, Coach. We got the golf program that's also got a state championship over there. Talk about who leads the golf program this year.
All right, so our girls coaches, Coach Tish Heidel.
Okay.
Tish has been the golf coach since before I even got to Northside, so almost 20 years probably.
Wow.
And last several years, she's had a tremendous team. She finished 3rd, I think, the last 2 years in the state. Just has tremendous talent, so they do a great job. They were our area winners this past year, kind of like a region championship.
Right.
Golf is done in area, so golf is very, very good. Graham Davis, he was a first-year teacher with us last year. He took over our boys program. They were successful, had a strong area tournament. So, we have good, high expectations for both of our teams. In golf.
Yeah, and golf is an interesting thing because it's hard for spectators to watch an entire golf match, but there's a lot of competitive golf players around this area, and that's another way to get a college scholarship.
Absolutely.
So I'm all for playing as many sports as you can. Tennis, who leads the tennis program? You talk about something that's fun to watch, and I can't wait to live stream it. It's a tennis match. Who leads the tennis program?
Barbara Lowe is our boys and girls tennis coach, and Barbara's a tennis player herself, so it's fun to watch her interact with the kids and work with the kids because she's been there, does it. A lot of the smaller sports, it's hard to find somebody who had,
experience,
technical knowledge of that sport. So, to have a tennis player that is your tennis coach is huge, So we're really excited about that. She's building that program. She kind of started from the ground, built it up, so it's getting better and better.
Baseball is having a new hire. Coach Sparks, who is brother with legendary athletic director still at Columbus State, Jay Sparks, did a great job these last couple seasons. But now we have a new baseball coach who is not new to the community, but I'll let you talk about it. I don't know if it's been out there yet. I know a lot of people do know, but basically this is for everyone who's taken over the Northside Patriots baseball program that you made mention just a few years ago, won a state championship back in 2019.
Right. So we have a very proud baseball program, have for years and years and years. So like I said, we won the state championship in 19, COVID hits. We felt good about the 2020 season, had a lot of guys coming back, season gets canceled. So it's been a tough go since then, and we've had a couple of coaches in between. But this year we hired Tracy Powell. Tracy is a veteran in Columbus.
Yeah.
He was at Hardaway for, I don't know, probably close to 20 years, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
When I was head football coach at Hardaway, he was my athletic director and head baseball coach. Now it's almost kind of like reverse. He's head baseball coach and I'm the athletic director. So it's going to be a lot of fun to work with Tracy because I know him. We all know him well. He's been around this area forever, been very ultra successful. So really excited about Coach Sparks. He's going to stay on staff and help. And I can't say enough about Steve Sparks. He's a really good friend of mine. But he got here the year before I did, so he probably got here in '07. He's coached football and baseball that entire time, and just I will say it on record here on TV, I'll say it anywhere. From a football standpoint, because I'm not as intimate with baseball, I guess, but from a football standpoint, I feel like he is the best in-game coach I've ever been around.
Yeah.
He's just super. So we're really excited about him staying on board and doing, what he's done for years and years. So we're really excited to keep him involved and have Coach Powell lead that program. It's going to be exciting.
And when you're doing the interviews and stuff like that, what stood out with Coach Powell is his experience, and it's like Coach Powell has been everywhere. I know he was at Pacelli helping out with that program. He just got that itch to get back into, and it's hard to turn down a legend to take over a program like this, isn't it?
Well, we felt. I don't know the best word, but we felt good that he wanted the job.
Yeah.
He
was coveting it.
We were very excited that he wanted to get back into that. To have an opportunity to hire him and get him back into Muskogee County, get him back into working with him day to day like we have for years.
Yeah.
Him and they coached together at Hardaway for years, so they were really close. So a lot of those conversations were between the two of them. But we're excited. I mean, like you said before, I think it's a home run hire. I think it's a great hire that it's going to do nothing but help our program.
Soccer, who leads those programs? Because soccer is a big deal around here, and Northside's had very competitive soccer programs.
Yes, particularly our girls. The last few years, our girls have been really strong.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of very, very good players, a lot of very good success with that team. Carissa Branch is our head coach. She has been for the past 3 or 4 years. The years I'll run together, but it's been the last 3 or 4 years she's been our head soccer coach and just done a tremendous job. I mean, I think we made it to the 3rd round last year, so we're very successful. Had several girls sign and
Right.
So we're very excited about that, what they can do moving forward. Our boys coach is Ryan Lee at the time. That could change. We're having some conversations, but Coach Lee has been our head boys coach for the past 3 or 4 years, and our boys getting better and better. I think that's going to do nothing but improve.
Track and field is the final sport, and that is talking about dealing with a lot of athletes, is
Yes.
Track and field coaches.
Yes.
So who's leading the track and field program that's got a lot of people he or she's in charge of?
We have Meredith Shepard. She's in charge of our track and field team, and she does a great job. She is
Right.
her dad was a track coach. Her whole life has been revolved around. She was an athlete, and our staff much of our staff were college athletes in track and field. We got some Isaac Sears back in our school and in our track program, and she was a standout at Western Kentucky. You got people on the field that have been at that high level and can push our athletes to be better. So we're really excited. Our track is one of our better programs. I mean, we're really successful in track, region championships and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of an unheralded sport because you don't get as much hype about it necessarily as you do a football or a basketball or even a baseball. You don't get as much hoopla about it and much coverage, but my daughter ran track, so I kind of understand the insides of it because of that. But it's just a sport that takes a lot of time. Like you said, it's a big team, so there's a lot of things that go into managing that team and managing that whole program.
Right. Well, we are excited about this upcoming year, the 2024-2025 school year. Coach, basically this last thing is to the Northside alumni, Northside family, and just heck, the entire Georgia Alabama Sports Live viewing audience that's around this area. What are ways that people can give back to Northside, and your message to them on what you're expecting for this entire year for all sports programs?
Well, it's pretty simple. My expectation for all of our sports is to compete at a high level and do it in the right way.
Right.
We expect sportsmanship second to none.
Right.
That's probably my biggest thing, and that's from our coaches and our players. Now, do you always get that? No. When you're on a competition field or on the court or whatever it might be, you're going to have competitors and tempers will flare and people get involved. And I understand. I was just as bad as anybody else. So, but my goal is for all of our sports to be competitive and do it the right way. So, in terms of getting involved, giving back, I mean, we have multiple ways that alumni or fans can give back. We have booster clubs from just about all of our teams, and they do fundraisers constantly to help improve their program, to help improve the facilities, to help improved, uniforms, or whatever it might be. So there's multiple ways, and anybody can email me if they want to get involved, if they want to get in some way, give back to the school. But there's just multiple ways that can happen. But that's our biggest thing here is be competitive. We want to win games just as much as anybody else, but we're going to do it the right way.
No doubt.
And I feel like one of my biggest things as the athletic director is I have to live that. I can't just say that, I have to live it. So, things like recruiting, things like, practicing out of season.
Right.
All those things, I don't bend on any of that. And sometimes, that's hard for people to understand, and hard for people to realize why, because a lot of people do those things.
Right.
I'm not going to bend on those things, because I can't say we're going to do things the right way and then me do them a different way. And
Right.
I'm not going to do that, And
Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough, and I feel like we have enough of a standard set that we don't have to do that.
He's one of the best guys around. Love him to death. He's really good at interviews, as you can see, and we're looking forward to Northside Patriots, all their sports programs coming up in 2024 and 2025 school year. And before you know it, softball game's going to start literally the first week of school. It's like
Wow.
we don't even
Wow.
get a chance to breathe, let the kids get acclimated. It's already boom, ready to start playing games.
right.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, too.
And this is another edition of Sitting with an Athletic Director, State of the Program with Morgan Ingram from Northside. We'll see you again next time.